By the way, the Paris Climate Agreement, how many of you are blown away that none of us knew what was in that goddamn thing? That how until I would say a month ago, did any of you know what that thing even said? How the hell were all of us so duped by the mainstream media that we didn't know that that agreement was something that nobody on either side should support? It's not even it's not even like a political left or right thing. If you actually look at what the agreement is, forget about the politics of it. If you just look at the document, the agreement, there's nobody on either side that would agree with it if they knew what was in it. It's like, who could possibly defend that thing if they knew what was in it? Correct me if I'm wrong. You still see lots of people defending the Paris Climate Accords. But in their defense, true or not, lately, just the last couple of weeks, wouldn't it be true that the people defending it always display an ignorance of what's in it? That didn't used to be the case. It used to be the case both sides were ignorant, I think. And they both thought it was like, you either believe in climate change or you don't. You know, if you believe it, you like the agreement. If you don't believe it, you don't like the agreement. Well, it turns out that had nothing to do with anything. The agreement had nothing to do with climate science. I didn't know that. And apparently that statement that I'm making, that it sort of didn't have anything to do with actually changing the temperature, that was not obvious to me even a month ago. I thought it must be, it must put hard requirements on us, and we don't want that, but surely it would do some good. I didn't know that it didn't. I didn't even know that the people who signed it knew that it didn't. And they've already retreated. Remember in the climate science, the science part of the debate, a lot of people have already retreated from, well, it's definitely going to get warmer, to, well, it's not definitely going to get warmer, but Pascal's wager says we should at least treat it like it's real, even if it's a small risk, because it's such a big thing. When you see people retreat to that kind of argument, you know that the original argument was complete garbage. And now with the Paris Climate Accords, the people who are arguing for it, once they realized what was actually in it, for the first time, realizing what was actually in the agreement, nobody in their right mind, American anyway, could say, yeah, that was a good idea. We should have signed that. Once they know what's in it, nobody on either side agrees with it. But if your cognitive dissonance kicks in and you say, oh my God, I've been saying this thing's a good thing for 3 years or whatever it's been, I can't just suddenly change it and say, oh yeah, you're right. I guess I've been ridiculous for 2 years. Everything I've said was totally wrong. I thought the agreement was something about changing the temperature, but now that it's been explained to me that even if everything was done in the Paris Agreement as stated, if everybody did everything as best they could, it would make such a small difference in the temperature that there would be no point in spending those trillions. Have you seen what they retreat to as their argument for supporting it? Does anybody here know what the argument is that you're hearing now? So for the people who know the agreement doesn't actually change the temperature, even if you follow it, what argument are they retreating to? Not Pascal's wager, because that doesn't apply if you're not actually changing the temperature. Virtue signaling, yeah, sort of. They're saying that it has a sort of a leadership, psychological, communication, persuasion, they don't use that word, but I will, persuasion element to it. Oh yes, it's not about the agreement actually changing the temperature. We said that, but now we say that it's really more about, leadership. It's about getting people on board. It's about how we think about the problem. It's about raising it in importance. It's about treating it seriously. That's not why we signed it, was it? Is that why we signed it in the first place? For the psychology of it? Do you remember President Obama saying, yeah, this doesn't really change the temperature, but it's very important symbolically that we're all on the same side here because it's so important. So we'll sign this thing symbolically. Did anybody ever say that? I don't think so. So when you see the argument change from, well, we claim it's A, the argument is A, and then when a proof positive that's literally written on a piece of paper that says, you know, this is what we're going to do, and then all the scientists line up and say, yeah, that doesn't make any difference. And then you've proven that A is ridiculous. People don't say, I was wrong about A. I sure was dumb. I sure got fooled. I thought A was true, but A was wrong. I guess I'm dumb. You're smart. You people on the other side, I thought you were dumb, but it turns out you're the smart ones. I'm the dumb one. Nobody does that, right? The normal human brain can't do that to itself. So instead, you say, well, I was saying A was the reason for this agreement, but now that I think about it, B was the reason. I love B. It's all about B. Anytime you see that structure where people completely abandon their original reason for a thing, and then suddenly, for the first time, as if by magic, they have a new reason, and they treat the new reason like it was just as good as the old reason, what that means is reasons were never part of it. It was always about joining a side. It was always about identity. So the Climate Accord was basically a psychological club. It was a club of people who wanted to feel that they were, on this side, and it was the virtue side. Yeah, it was an emotional club.